Hey there, welcome back to Coding with Drew. In our last video, we created our HTML that we're going to use for this project. In this video, we're going to break down our individual steps and we're going to try to make things as simple as possible. Let's get started with some pseudocode. If you're not familiar with what pseudocode is, it's just comments. And comments to help us keep our thoughts and our flow in a reasonable direction so we can kind of scaffold out what we're planning on doing and it doesn't affect anything. So first thing we're going to do is put 2 forward slashes and that creates a comment. And you can also press command forward slash. So command forward slash, and then we're going to go ahead and select elements. Then we're going to go in to those elements and we're going to replace the content. In order to replace the content, though, we first have to know what the content is supposed to be. So we're going to create some variables that declare our content. So let's go ahead and get started. What we're going to do is declare some consts. So const, and we're going to break this down by these IDs. So anywhere where we established an ID greeting, for example, we're just going to copy the ID const the greeting equals document dot query selector, and we're going to say hashtag greeting semicolon. All right, now we're going to do the same thing again, const, and let's go back to our HTML and go to the next ID. So ID hats. So the hats equals document dot query selector, and I'm doing this intentionally to get you practicing writing selectors. There might be an easier way to get this going a little bit faster, but we're just going to go the long and hard way for now. All right. So now that we've done hats, we need to do subtotal, and let's go ahead and just copy that. All right. And so const the subtotal equals document dot query selector, and then inside of quote marks subtotal and add our semicolon, and then I believe we have to do the shipping. So const, let's double check, shipping. So we're going to call this the shipping. And the naming here, it doesn't matter, but I'm just using the as my convention. You can use shipping selector. You could use any number of things, but it should be logical and be easy to remember what that selector does. So document dot query selector, and then we're going to do shipping, and I believe it's a ID, so we have to have a hashtag in front of it and add our semicolon at the end. And the last one is the grand total. Let's verify. Yeah, grand total. So const the, let's just do total equals document dot query selector. Oop, I just noticed that I have a typo on the line above. Selector. And then it's going to be in quotes, hashtag grand total. And then we got to close this out with our semicolon. All right, we have now selected all of the elements that we're going to input information for. So in order to do that, though, we have to have some variables. So let's look at greeting. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a message, and it's going to be called greeting. So let's go ahead and const greeting equals hello again. And that's all it's going to do. And then let's do another one. Let's say let name equal, and you can put your own name here. I'm going to put my name, Drew, and then we're going to say let welcome equal, and then we're going to do some quote marks, and we're going to actually just type out some HTML. So let's do H1 inside of the quotes, and then instead of double quotes, let's do backtick so we can do some expansions in here. So we're going to do $, and then curly brackets, and we're going to say greeting, and then we're going to do a space, and then we're going to say $, curly brackets, name, and then we're going to say comma, space, $, message. Now we could do this a different way, and I'd like to demonstrate it now since we're on this topic. It's probably important to know, so let's go ahead and get that. Before I forget though, let's add an H1 closing tag here. So what you need to know is that you can do this exact same line. So I'm going to copy it. We can do this the hard way. And there's a reason why I teach it the way I'm teaching it instead of this way. You can see, so this needs to be just an H1 with a single quote plus name. And note, we have to also add a space here. So plus space. See how terrible this is already? Name plus comma space. So plus quote, comma space, and then another plus to concatenate this message. And then probably want to add a colon at the end. So let's do that. Plus message, plus quote, colon, plus H1. Now, do you see the difference in the amount of code and the potential for errors here? So this is why I don't do this. You can do either one, and both are perfectly valid JavaScript. I would just recommend against doing the second way and use parameter expansion like the first way here. So I'm just going to leave that and comment it out. So that way, when you look at my code later, you can compare and contrast. All right. So now we can console.log our welcome message, and we can see it in our console. So I just saved, and now I'm going to go live, and we're going to open up Coding with Drew. And this is my current portfolio site that we're actively building. And this one is in hats.index.html. Now, if I inspect this and I go to the console, you can see that document.querySelectors is not a function on line 3. So it looks like I have an extra S there. And so I'm going to go back to my document, refresh. Message is not defined on line 11. So it looks like I've got a problem where I haven't called message. So let's create let message equal. And this is my fault. Please check your order. So let's add that semicolon at the end. And let's add one here as well. All right. Now let's go back to our document. And you can see it console logged out H1, hello again, Drew, please check your order, H1. So now that we have our greeting done, and let's call this greeting, we can replace our content. So let's go ahead and do that. In our previous section, we learned about inner HTML. So let's go ahead and do that. The greeting dot inner HTML equals welcome, semicolon. All right. So let's look at our web page, and you can see now that it displays our welcome message. Hello again, Drew, please check your order. We can also see that it's responsive. So as the screen gets smaller, it wraps and everything looks pretty good in terms of what we have. And we can get rid of this console log. So I'm just going to comment it out. So you've just done your first selector. You've done your first manipulation, and you've injected that into your HTML using inner HTML. In the next video, we'll go over this a couple more times with our hat total, subtotal, shipping, and grand total. So I'll see you there.
It's all cool. Coding with Drew. It's all cool. HTML, CSS, WordPress. Get the lessons right here. Get the lessons right here.